Yo, what up? So, it seems that Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed again. I mean, low key, I would like to think that it was delayed because they recently got, Endymion posted that video about, the insider telling him how they want to kind of hide the wokeness content behind a certain time limit when the game can't be returned anymore. Things like that, and they said they removed Yasuke from the game, but they didn't actually do it, so they got caught for that. So I would like to think that maybe, just maybe, they they're delaying the game again because they're going to actually go in and remove Yasuke. I doubt it, but that's what I would like to think. But anyway, I figured we could go ahead and check in on what has to be said. Let me show you. Bam! Assassin's Creed Shadows delayed again, and Avowed prove modern gaming is getting worse. All right. Obviously, you know who this YouTuber is. I mean, it says right there on the screen. Unless you're doing audio only. This is by the YouTube channel Endymion. So we're gonna check him out, see what's good, see what's great, see what's going on, no hate, and see what he has to say. Let's get it. As always, link to the video, link to the channel, both in the description below. So be sure to check him out. Also, subscribe to my channel. Your boy's trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So help me out. Wait. Doesn't have to. LSD mushroom nightmare. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I tried LSD. I have the option to try mushroom. Never had it yet. I still have the option. Haven't tried it. But I've never had a nightmare version of that shit. Like my trips have always been good. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like I can only imagine how a nightmare would be. Holy crap! Ah, crap.
Assassin's Creed Shadows is in such deep water that at this point it'll be a miracle if this game even releases.
I mean, it
I
doesn't
also
have
want
to.
to talk about Avowed and how that LSD mushroom nightmare of a game confirms that yet again players are.
This man's had LSD mushroom nightmare. Now I've taken a trip before, but I have never had a bad trip. And for him to say LSD mushroom nightmare, I can only imagine what that would be like. Jeez, bruh.
Are in for some absolute slop. Also, I gotta share
right.
some news that I was given from one of my sources deep inside the video game industry.
Mm-hmm.
I say that
What
like
up?
they're Snake himself stealthing through enemy lines, but whatever. It sounds cooler if I say it like that. So before I get into all the other news, I do want to tell you some things that I was told. Firstly, I was told that Ubisoft just had another all hands on deck meeting discussing the future of Shadows and that this meeting had to do with the release date. As I'm told, Ubisoft is currently contemplating delaying Shadows yet again. I was
Okay.
told months ago that they would delay the game until March, which
Delay it and actually remove Yasuke. Just replace him with the actual Japanese male character that they apparently had before Yasuke to begin with. The guy is there. He's there's got to be a save file of the guy there somewhere. You feel me? So just go ahead, put him in, replace him with Yasuke. You know what I'm saying? Just right click and go to replace file with footage or whatever, something like that. Or bot or model, replace 3D model, whatever. Put the Japanese guy in there. You know what I'm saying? Big shit.
did ended up being true. This one I'm a little skeptical of since my source said they were told this by one person who was actually at this meeting, but we'll go with it for now. Basically, Assassin's Creed Shadows might get delayed yet again until the time frame of around June to maybe about August 2025. Now, it isn't
Oh
confirmed
shit.
yet, but I asked my source why would Ubisoft want to do that after being so close to this new release date. Apparently, it's cause there's still problems with the game that Ubisoft needs to fix, as I'll show in a bit within this video. But
Is that true, or are they just saying that to give themselves a reason to have to extend the time to be like, oh shit, we got caught. Let's actually remove Isuke from the game because we need it to be a success. You know what I'm saying? I told you I'm very hopeful of that scenario. I highly doubt it, but I'm very hopeful.
while they haven't committed obviously to this new delay, I don't really see it happening, but it's still in the cards for them, so to speak, for Ubisoft, so I figured I'd let you guys all know. What my source said is that they believe that Ubisoft will keep delaying the game until it enters what they perceive as a positive reception release-wise. They really want this game to work well, and they're willing to keep.
If they really want it to work well and they really want a positive perception, remove Yasuke. Like, just put the Japanese guy that you had in. Like, we don't need this game to be wokeified. You feel me? We don't need that shit. Let me remind you, Yasuke was only put into the game because of the Black Lives Matter protest that was going on back when this game first started, first came into development. All the Black Lives Matter protests were going on, and I think it was the not George. Oh my god, I'm sorry, I forgot his name. There was police brutality against black people, and some black people ended up dying due to that police brutality. So this game added Yasuke just because they wanted to say, hey, we're for the cause, we're down with the cause. Yeah. But there's no need for that. I guess they thought the protest and everything like that was going to last a lot longer. It didn't. And so now they did all that work to put Yasuke in the game. But when they show the people are like, what the fuck is this? We don't want this shit. What? No. And so now they've already put so much work into having Yasuke in the game that they don't want to remove him. That's what it feels like. Plus the DEI bullshit, because you just have to have something in there, and they figured they can meet that DEI quota by doing this shit. No, if they put Yasuke in the game as a background character that's just gives quests or something like that, or is he's Nobunaga's retainer as he's supposed to be. If they just put him in as a background character and a non-playable character, but you can play the girl or the Japanese guy as the characters you can play, the game would do good. You know what I'm saying? You still get your DEI quota, don't you? I mean, you still hit that shit. Make him one of the main quest givers or some shit. You know what I'm saying? That's all you gotta do. We don't need him as a playable character. I want to play as a Japanese guy in Japan. Because again, I said it time and time before, and I'll say it again. If they made an Assassin's Creed in Africa or Barbados, or a main instead of that, just an area mainly populated by black people. If they made an Assassin's Creed in one of those countries and they put a white guy as the main character, I would feel some type of way. Fuck that shit.
Keep delaying it until they get it right, according to my source. I also got an interesting tip on Sony PlayStation as well. According to one of my sources, Sony Japan specifically, who, if you don't know, has a new CEO now, has apparently made a new mandate within PlayStation as a whole.
Okay.
This new mandate is that every first-party studio that Sony owns is allegedly going to make every studio run their scripts, their character designs, even the archetypes for these characters, as in how they're written, what they represent, and so on, and even the actors that are working in these games to all be peer-reviewed in-house by Sony Japan specifically. I asked my source, and this is the same source that told me all the Shadow stuff months ago and the whole thing about games lying in their marketing material going forward and more, so I trust them on this. Okay. But they surmise that the reason why Sony Japan is doing this is to cut down on the woke nonsense that is being pushed in their games by their Californian side.
Fuck yes. Thank you, Sony Japan. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sony Japan. Hey, everybody. W in the chat for Sony Japan because, like, holy shit. They might save this game. They might save this game. They're putting their foot down. They say, hold the fuck up, California woke ass, bitch ass niggas. Get that bullshit DEI out of here. We don't need that in this game. You want to save this game? Bet. Get that bullshit out of here. Shout out to Sony Japan, yo. I'm loving it.
If you didn't know,
Yo, let me know what y'all think about Sony Japan in the comments below.
Sony has a big presence in California, and that office over there is responsible for a lot of the westernized slop that you've seen coming out in recent years. Well, I reported a long time back that Sony was in a quiet civil war amongst its members to pivot the company more so towards its Japanese-esque sensibilities and way of doing things. And this new CEO is a big green flag, so to speak, that Sony is indeed trying to fix these things behind the scenes. We also know that based on this one employee who used to work at Sony in San Francisco named Ryusuke, who said themselves publicly, and I'll read it, "Most of my team was just laid off from PlayStation. If you know anyone who needs an engineer, reach out." So it seems as though the Sony is, to some degree, trying to clean house, so to speak, of their westernized sensibilities that have been doing nothing lately but losing them money and costing them fan loyalty. Remember that slop like Concord and the overindulgent pushing of IPs like Horizon down everyone's throat with like the Lego game and all the other nonsense and all the remasters? That is all Western Sony stuff. So it's interesting to hear that Sony Japan specifically...
Let's be real. Sony Japan is literally like, hey, y'all costing the company money. Stop that shit. We have to approve that shit now. From now on, we gotta approve your bullshit. We ain't letting that slide no more, bruh. They said stop losing us money. You're fucking us shit up. We need this shit. We ain't trying to go bankrupt. We still gotta compete with Nintendo. We still gotta compete with PC, the god of gods in gaming. Oof, PC. We still gotta compete with them, and you put out a slop like this. What the fuck wrong with you? You still gotta compete with Microsoft, which is also PC, bitch. And you fucking up our money over here with these bullshit Conquest and S games? Nah, son. Get out of here with that, son.
Wants to filter these games and hopefully, according to my source, ensure that their future games are not dumpster fires in the making. I don't know if this will mean that they'll force Naughty Dog or something to make Intergalactic more interesting to look at from their shaved hair, obviously lesbian protagonist, but I guess we'll see. But that's what I heard from some sources, a potential Shadows delay, and Sony might be cleaning house quietly. Now let's get into this other news that is also Shadows related. Firstly, it's being reported by, and I can never say this website's name properly, Routers. I already know someone's going to correct me in the comments, let's just keep moving. Anyway, they reported...
It's Ruby Tuesdays. That's how you say it.
That Ubisoft's financials have dropped an astounding 52% compared to last year in the same time period. Which is actually crazy, but not that surprising considering, well, it's Ubisoft, guys. However, according to Ubisoft themselves, Ubisoft said that pre-orders for Shadows are tracking solidly in line with those of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the second most successful entry of the franchise. So
Pressing X to doubt. Yes, good sir. I would like to press X to doubt on that. I would like to press X to doubt on that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are right. X it out.
Ubisoft is trying to save face, I guess, and claim that Shadows, despite the backlash, is still being pre-ordered at a very good pace, but I guess we'll see. It is interesting that they...
If it was, you wouldn't need to to push back the game to make so many different changes and shit.
Confirmed that Odyssey is the second most successful game in the franchise, because Black Flag has sold the most, and Valhalla was the most profitable. So I guess Odyssey was second most profitable in the series then. Either way, if Shadows is tracking in line with Odyssey, maybe this could be a win for Ubisoft, but 52% drop in revenue year over year, that is staggeringly bad no matter how you slice it. Then, of course, there was this from IGN, where Ubisoft...
I like that. I don't know if that was intentional, but did you catch that? Watch this.
Staggeringly bad no matter how you slice it.
Did you get that? One more time.
drop in revenue year over year. That is staggeringly bad no matter how you slice it.
He timed the slice with the slice. Like the character hit sliced with his sword, and he said slice. So he timed it. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that was dope. I like that. One more time.
Drop in revenue year over year. That is staggeringly bad no matter how you slice
Sling.
it. Then, of course, there was this from
saying?
IGN, where Ubisoft pretty much tried to convince players that they can play Shadows and never really need to play Yasuke
That's a
that
lie.
much, which
That's
reads,
a lie.
Assassin's Creed Shadows players won't be missing out if they largely ignore one protagonist. The pipeline of propaganda from Ubisoft going from Yasuke is a core integral part of our game to actually you can just ignore him completely if you play the game is very telling.
Yo, the fact that they say, hey, people who we want to buy this game, you can play the game just fine without while ignoring the other protagonist. You can just use the female the entire time. I promise you can do that. If you have to go to your audience like that and say that, then you're pretty much admitting that you know that it's a problem, that the backlash of Yasuke being a playable character is such a large problem that you're trying to convince the player base to still buy the game because you can quote unquote play the game just fine while ignoring him. If you have to say that, you might as well just get rid of him, replace him, and then you would attract a larger play base because people that had already heard about all the bullshit you've done and just automatically checked out of deciding to play the game, they would hear that the changes that you actually made by replacing Yasuke or just completely taking him out the game entirely. They would hear that shit and they would be like, all right, hold on. This game might be worth playing. So what is the best move to make? Just to say, hey, or to pretend, we don't know if you're telling the truth, you might be lying completely. Just pretend to be like, oh, you can play the game just fine and never touch Yasuke. You can largely ignore him. You want us to believe that? Or do you want us to just be like, seeing a news notice saying Yasuke has been replaced or removed from Assassin's Creed Shadows? Which one do you think would have a better impact? And remember, you had to try and convince the player base that the game is still playable while ignoring him. So tell me, which one is more convincing? Just replacing Yasuke or taking him out completely? Or just pretending to tell us that, hey, we can play the game without having to play him? Which one would do better for you in the long run? Removing Yasuke or leaving him in and lying to us?
They know that they screwed it up big time, and I doubt if Ubisoft survives this release that in the future, whenever a new Assassin's Creed game is made or pitched, they will probably never do the whole dual protagonist idea ever again. And I think their biggest mistake here was separating the power fantasy into two different characters, especially considering that the last 4 games in the series just combined both power fantasies into one capable character. It was clearly just a gimmick that was being pushed by Ubisoft so they could shoehorn in Yasuke, that's all it is. I think if Shadows just had a male or female option for Naoe and no Yasuke, this game would have done just fine in sales and probably in reception too. Sure, yeah, it would still get cooked for messing up things in Japan's representation-wise, but at the very least, they wouldn't have this blight to deal with. IGN spoke to creative director Jonathan Dumont about Shadows. Here's what he said. I don't think you're missing out on things too much, Dumont said. I think it's more of your preference to say, okay, I'll see how the game will adapt a little bit to the character if you choose one over the other. They get individual introductions and then they get their own questline too. Let's say for Naoe, a personal questline cannot be played by Yasuke, and those are two distinct things, but the core of the game can be pick your character and the game adapts. We're not imposing players to try to split the time. If you prefer one character for any reason, you can play maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to put a percentage, but quite a bit of the game using one of them. But if you want to balance it out, I play quite a bit balanced out, and what happens is I play with one for 3, 4, 5 hours, and then I switch, and then I just play 2, 3 hours. Usually I play stealth and then I say, alright, let me destroy some camps and stuff, alright for a while, and then I can just change like that. Yeah, this just kind of comes off as weird to me that you're pretty much just telling IGN that, look, if you don't like Yasuke, you don't need to play as him. It's a very bizarre marketing tactic, all things considered, if you ask me. Why would they make a playable character be someone who is not an assassin to begin with, can't climb well anything pretty much, and do the things your franchise are known for? It's just really weird to me. It would be like a Splinter Cell game where you can play as Sam Fisher, and then there's just some other new hero who is all about guns blazing, and they can't stealth themselves. At that point, why even spend the dev time implementing someone in a franchise known for stealth that can't do the thing your game is known for? It's so weird, man. I think it's plenty obvious why they included Yasuke, which is simply for those DEI points. There's really no other explanation that makes any sort of sense. Ubisoft has in the past...
Bro, I don't know why they needed to push for those DEI points to begin with, simply because the game is based in Japan. You have a bunch of Japanese, you have a bunch of Asian people already in the game. You're good. That's DEI complete. You know what I'm saying? There is not one white guy in this game. You guys have won. Congratulations. You don't have to put Yasuke in the game. You can just leave it as a Japanese-based game. Mostly Japanese people. Maybe have some outsider, that's some traveler that's an NPC and just you know, oh, I'm just visiting. Or like I said before, make Yasuke an NPC, a quest giver NPC, and he doesn't have to be a playable character. Bam, you still win. You don't have to have him as a playable character. The game is full of Asian people and one black guy as a quest giver. You win. The DEI is done.
Try to circumvent this and say that they wanted Yasuke so the player has a fish out of water, or someone who isn't necessarily in tune with the customs of Japan as their viewpoint into that world. Yet every single other Assassin's Creed game, this has never been the case. In 2, you play as Ezio, an Italian guy in Italy, obviously. You play as Bayek in Origins, an Egyptian guy in Egypt. This has never been the case ever in this series that we needed to play someone unfamiliar with the land that they're in.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna be an assassin or going on missions and shit, you gotta be familiar with the damn place, right? But anyway, it's probably best if you're from that place. But anyway, why is this the only one that breaks the mold? All that to do, the mold was being loosened, and that's why the game started to fall off. The mold was tight at first, which is why the first one did great. Then it started to loosen, and the game started to fall off, and then they just kind of tried to break it because they don't know what they're doing. And now everybody's like, hey, don't put this game out. This Assassin's Creed Shadows is trash. We don't want Yasuke in the game. We don't want him to be a playable character. And instead of trying to listen to your audience, you're trying to force the broken mold down their throats. And it's like, bitch, fix that shit. What you doing?
I guess the closest we had to this would be Ezio in Constantinople in Revelations, but it also doesn't really work per se, because by the time Revelations came out, we all knew who Ezio was and his whole story. So moving him to another city, which still kinda adhered to some of the customs at least and whatnot that Ezio was familiar with, that still worked for that game. It just kinda sounds like cope to me is all. They've changed the messaging on Yasuke so much throughout this game's press, that if you ask me, I don't really believe any reason that Ubisoft tries to come up with how to mitigate this. They just wanted to put a black guy in Japan. That's it.
That's it.
I guess the only other time I can think of where they made a foreigner work in a foreign land is probably Valhalla, since you are a Viking in England. But that works because the historical context makes sense because Vikings obviously raided and settled in England proper during that time. This is just copium. But then again, this is the same publisher that tried to push the message that players should become more comfortable with not actually owning their games. So I guess Ubisoft executives should become equally as comfortable no longer working at Ubisoft if they're just gonna push stupid stuff like this.
God damn, look at this. Look at this. Look at that graph. 13, it was like a little less than 13. It bumped up, it went down to like 1275, jumped back up to 13, and then dropped to like 1225, and then it kept dropping. 1175, went up to about 1225 again, and then dropped, and then just eventually just kept dropping. Like, damn, you'd think they'd be like, we should probably listen to our audience. What kind of game they want to play? Instead of being like, fuck our audience, we're going to force you to play this game because we want you to play this game. We want you to have to experience and deal with everything that all the messages that you don't care about, that we care about, that we want you to care about. So we want we want to force this on you. Everybody's like, man, fuck you. I'm gonna go back to playing Fortnite or some other bullshit. League of Legends, goddamn, I don't know. Anyway.
But Ubisoft has confirmed that they are, according to their CEO, doing well at their new cost reduction plan, which, by the way, part of that plan was just letting go hundreds of employees to cut those costs down. Very cool, Ubisoft. Very cool. Just throwing people's jobs away, but of course the executives get to stay with their golden parachutes. So yeah, just keep the problems who keep making new problems for you, but throw away the devs who actually make the product. Video games, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta love it. Here's the last part of the Shadows thing for this video. So you may remember that clip of a player showing that Yasuke can desecrate shrines in Shadows, which is a big no-no for obvious reasons. Anyway, Grum spoke to people tied to this, and here's what he said. My local source confirms the Itate Hyozu Jinjig Shrine in Japan has filed a formal request to Ubisoft, asking them to remove the entire religious site from Assassin's Creed Shadows. My source tells me the temple's leaders are very upset at the use of their shrine and the ability to destroy the interior. The temple joins a long list of Japan gaffes that have plagued the game, such as the unauthorized use of the Sekigahara Rifle Corps banner in the art book concept art. Shadows loudly touted the sensitivity and research that went into the game, hiring several, shall we say, questionable historians to consult on the title. It has been an unmitigated disaster so far, and Japan is not happy. So, the shrine that was destroyed in that viral clip, the people who run that shrine in real life just want it removed from the game because they found it deeply offensive to their culture. Will Ubisoft...
Bro, it's like Ubisoft made Yasuke and with a personality of Johnny Somali. Just disrespecting the shit out of Japan. Like fuck, like a huge fuck you to Japan. That's what Yasuke is doing. Running around destroying shrines, like holy property, like holy bruh. How out of touch could the devs for this game be? How out of touch? How out of touch, bro? That's crazy. Just take him out the game.
Ubisoft respond, I guess we'll see, but I figured I'd let you guys know. Now let's talk about this other weird dumpster fire of a game called Avowed. The game has come out to, I would say fine reviews. You have some 9s, some 8s, and then there's some...
I'm only gonna do this time around. I'm only gonna do the Assassin's Creed part of the video. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think about everything going on with Assassin's Creed. I honestly didn't know the whole thing about the temples being able to be destroyed by Yasuke. That's so messed up, bruh. Like, I don't know why the Ubisoft is allergic to listening to their consumer. Everybody is telling you what they want out of this game, but Ubisoft is just like plugging their ears and going la 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 la, just trying not to listen because they don't want to. They don't want to deliver what their customers want. And that's just a failing business model. I don't know why they're trying to do this. I don't know why they're trying to fail. They think they can force inclusion on us. They think they can force all this BS on us. But when the record shows and history shows that trying to do that only plummets your stocks. It only plummets your worth. It makes you worthless until you're bankrupt and you're firing everybody. That's your fault. That your employees are getting fired and jobless. That's that company's fault. That's not the consumer's fault. The consumer is telling the company what they want, and the company's just not listening. They don't give a shit. They just want to try and force shit on us, and when it fails, they blame us and try to gaslight us. It's like, no, we told you what we wanted. That's your fault. That's on you. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about everything so far in the comments below. And as always, link to the channel we just watched, link to the video we just watched will both be in the description below. So be sure to check out ENDYMIONtv. And while you're there, don't forget to do those 3 things I like to ask you to do, and like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for more videos. Yeah. And you know what it is after that, in case I don't see you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace. Much love to you.